What's up, everybody? Bradley Flowers here with this week's episode of Centers of Influence, the show where we bring you cool people in Mobile doing cool things. And I'm so excited to have my buddy here, Rock Davis with Mr. Church Marketer. This has been a long time coming. Rock and I have been friends for about a year and a half now.
Yeah.
And I think we met on Instagram or Facebook or one of those things.
You were stalking me, probably.
Probably so. And we just kind of hit it off, and he has a super interesting business model, super interesting business that caught my attention right away, which is very, very, very hard to do. And I've always respected him and the way that he's done things, and I thought it was cool to do an episode to tell all you guys about it. And so before we get into that, tell us who you are, where you came from, how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, well, I'm Rock Davis. I'm Mr. Church Marketer here in Mobile. And, I started out doing graphic and web design when I was real young, probably 15, 16.
Now, were you self-taught or?
Yeah, YouTube taught.
Sounds like somebody else I know.
Yeah. So this was like around like the time that YouTube really came out and it was really big and like really growing at this time. And I was trying to pursue a singing career. And so I was like,
really?
Yeah, I can sing pretty good. I'm not going to do it, but I can.
You're the second person that sat right there that can sing on the same show. Yeah.
Okay.
Dude,
who's that one?
Doug from American Idol.
Oh, yeah, I did actually saw that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Doug Cocker, right?
Yeah.
See? So, I was pursuing that, man, and this, like, 16-year-old kid working a dead-end job, didn't have any money, trying to do flyers and city covers, so I had to figure out how to do it for myself because that's the only way I could afford to do it. So I started learning how to do it, started getting good at it. People were asking me to do stuff, and started doing logos for a couple of local businesses. And then, actually kind of weird, I had a guy that came to me that wanted me to do a website, and I didn't know how to do websites.
And you said yes?
But I said, yes, I can build you a website, buddy.
I love it.
So he paid me to build him a website, and it was real cheap, but he paid me to build a website. And I walked myself through YouTube to learn how to build a website.
Was that like WordPress or something?
No, it was actually back in, like, we coded everything, but we coded everything like an old school way.
Gotcha.
So it's like basically like you build a box and then your content goes in the box. Stuff's like old school crap.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but dude, it worked great. Like I got paid for it, and because it kind of just gave me the confidence to go out and start doing it for other people.
Well, he must have saw something in you and it's like, hey, this kid can figure it out. And
yeah, he did. He was a friend of mine, and so like. It's like at this point, I was like 18. I was like 18, and so I had been doing like little graphics for a couple of years. And then he came to me and was like, "Man, can you do this?" So we did it, and then on, man, it's just been learning more, honing my craft. And then about probably 6 years ago, really started desiring to not just do it freelance. I wanted to really do it as a full-time gig. Really wanted to do it a real business, and I wanted to really understand, like, if I work with somebody and I helped them with a design, I don't want to just give them a design and that was it. I wanted to like see them really benefit from it.
Provide some functionality behind it.
Yeah, like I give you a logo and then here you go, that's great. Or they would come to me and get a logo done and then they'd go somewhere else to get it printed. Or they would get a logo done or a design done for a Facebook ad and they would go somewhere else to have them run the Facebook ad and then go somewhere to build a website. So it's kind of like, man, if I can figure out how to put all these things together, do it. And so started studying marketing. In that kind of whole thing, I really wanted to learn marketing and what all that could do. And with doing that, warm audience, it's like your big thing, got to know your warm audience. And my warm audience is churches, pastors and youth pastors. I've been in ministry of some capacity since I was 16, singing, leading worship, preaching. I was a young adults pastor for a couple of years. So all these different things kind of like, dude, these are my people. This is who I know. I understand them.
And you probably thought I could help these people.
And 100%, yeah. Like I can help them because I understand what they're going through.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did, man. 2018, we just kind of put all those things together, launched the business, and man, we're just rocking and rolling.
What I love about it the most, and I remember thinking this when you and I first started chatting on Instagram or Facebook or wherever it was, was I love that it's niche and it's defined, even though I know you do some stuff outside of that. Like, I love businesses that are just super niche, and that's one thing that I think we've struggled with, and insurance agencies struggle with, is like, who is your client? And the cool thing about that is, like, who your client is.
100%, yeah.
And you can talk the talk and walk the walk, and you understand the struggle. And when you go niche, you can better understand the struggles and the challenges with, because every single business in that same arena is going to somewhat have the same problems.
Yeah.
And it allows you to solve them a lot better. I think the key is finding a niche that A, the margins work, and B, there's enough clients.
Yeah, and once you figure out the needs of those people in that niche, you can kind of like, okay, I'm not just telling you something because I've heard of it. It works. I know it works because yesterday we did this for another church. So it's not the cookie cutter approach, but it has a lot of those elements where I know the recipe. Like, let's do this, and the recipe will turn out great for you too.
And not only that too, I feel like one thing I like about the church niche is that a lot of times, I feel like in a lot of cases there's some white space there of things that can be done better
from
100%. A business standpoint that you can help implement. Am I wrong in that?
No, 100%.
That's a true gut feeling.
No, that is 100%. I mean, that's the big thing is a lot of churches, they do things kind of like 10 years behind what the secular world is.
Probably scared to take risks too.
And just don't have the budget, don't have if they do have the budget, they don't have the understanding of how to do it. So they'll say, well, let's do some Facebook ads. But they won't have a landing page in place with the Facebook pixel installed. Google. That's what I'm saying. But it's a lot of that whole thing of you're doing things kind of backwards. You're spending money, and they spend the money when they finally do it. It doesn't work. So then they're kind of like, man, we're not going to do this again. We don't have the budget to keep trying things. So that's what we try to do. It's like we talk. The way we talk to people in churches is we say, we're like a doctor's office. So you come to us. Hey, we need this. Well, let's talk about what you need, and let's give you a prescription to really take that money, make it work the most effective that it can be, and really actually invest in it that it actually turns around.
And I imagine a lot of times too, when you're working with churches, is helping them figure out what their goal is. Because I bet you different churches have different goals. Like some churches may be to get more people in the door. Mm-hmm. Some churches may be, hey, let's get our current people to be more involved, more active, which is ultimately going to lead to more tithing and things like that.
Yeah.
And so I bet a lot of what you do is like deciphering what their actual goal is.
Yeah, it's figuring out the goal, and then also just figuring out, like we've kind of niched down even more since the last time me and you talked. Is we're really wanting to work with a lot of church plants. And that's kind of like a business startup is a church plant. They're starting from the ground up. And so they come to us and we do a lot of that branding and identity work where we're like, okay, you're going to this city.
Which is so important.
Yeah, and you think because a church especially, we want to help everybody. We want to serve everybody. But you don't. You have a specific people that you are equipped to serve. And so that's the big differentiator where let's figure it out. Let's figure out, okay, do you really want to reach families with kids or families that are single or, some churches, their main goal is to reach men in the area. They're really big on like getting men involved in church and really getting that whole thing going. So it's just finding those things and narrowing it down and helping them kind of figure out what they don't even know that they need to know.
And you do that through not only advice, but products as well. Talk about some of the products.
So when this journey all began, the whole thing was we wanted to help them like be able to get them something and get them the whole way through. And so what we started doing was we can help you with your logo, we can get you your branding, the whole identity thing, get you your website.
Some rebrands with that too, I imagine?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Because a lot of times people get logos done, especially smaller churches, like somebody in the church, so like maybe Grant, Grant's with us. So like Grant was like, I can do a logo, I'll go to your church. And they'll do a logo and it might even look good, but they don't know what it means. They don't know that any colors matter or...
Not picking on Grant, but...
No, not picking on Grant. I'm sure Grant's great.
But in a lot of cases it may be, Deacon John's great nephew who... The only thing John knows is he's good at computers.
100%. Yeah, and so they get a logo, and even if it does look good, then they don't have the files when little John gets mad at the church and leaves the church, and they don't have the files to do anything with it. So definitely tons of rebrands, and then so we're like marrying all these things together, and then it was like, man, we've got to do like products because we were doing designs that they were getting printed somewhere else. And they were getting ripped off. And I know from personal experience working in the church world, man, it's like, okay, we're getting this printed, but we're getting like charged way too much money, or they're spending like hours trying to find, okay, we found this, now where can we go to find at the best price? Mm-hmm. And so what we tried to do was, okay, we want to help you get your logo, get your website, and then we're going to get your products, and we're going to get it at the guaranteed lowest prices on the internet. And we're going to get it where it's all at one place. So we print over 1 million products for churches a million products that you can get all in the same place, and that helps you get that message out through a T-shirt, through a visitor card, all kinds of different stuff.
Well, and one thing too that I'm not a designer, but I am big on branding and logos and things like that. And one thing I like about your model, the fact that you do the logo and you do the printing, is one thing I don't think some people think about. And I know some people don't think about this because I see logos that fit this description, that they design a logo but don't ever think about all the other mediums that logo is going to be on. In other words, if you take, say, what's a really good logo?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Standard, yeah.
Coca-Cola. The Coca-Cola logo looks exactly the same on a computer screen as it does on a hat, as it does on a T-shirt, as it does on a koozie.
Yeah.
And you don't want your logo to look great on the computer, but then as soon as you transfer it over to a hat, it completely looks completely different.
Yeah.
And I see so many logos driving down the road.
Oh, yeah.
Like, boy, I bet that looks awful on a hat.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
So with you doing the printing, you can kind of, I imagine, take that into account when you're designing that logo.
Yeah, and just kind of, with the whole branding, like, okay, I know that we're working with one church, and I hope they don't see this. They're in California, and they wanted a dove.
Listeners all over the world.
Yeah. They wanted a dove with an olive branch, and they wanted to also have, I can't remember all the stuff, a tree in the background and a river. So this is a modern church. This was like we just finished the logo yesterday. So it's just like crazy, man. I'm like, okay, we got to sit down. We had to get the pastor and his little board on the phone and say, look, we did a Zoom call. This is not going to work because exactly what you're saying. We can make it probably look okay, like on the computer, on like your bulletin when you come in, but man, everything else is going to look horrible, and it's just going to be too much jumbled up. So we finally stripped it down, got them just a dove, and it looks great. But it was sometimes it takes a little prod, man, to kind of, hey, we know what we're doing. Just let me show you, and they ended up liking it.
That's awesome. And so you guys do you do some stuff outside of churches as well. You do our stuff.
Yeah. We do work with business too. It's the same concept, same. The product, a T-shirt can be worn in a church or a business, so we do all this kind of different stuff for that.
And the portal T-shirts you see us wearing here, that's Rob's company. Yeah.
And so, that's what we do, man. It's like we're really starting to venture out in that a lot. It's kind of naturally happening. Churches that are referring to the people inside their church that own businesses are saying, hey, who did our logos, who did our hats, who did our pins, whatever, and they're coming to us. And so 2021, we're going to be launching a separate brand that's going to be focusing on businesses and working a little bit more specific to those needs of a business other than church. So it's exciting, man.
So I got one last question for you. So you mentioned when you were young, when you were 18, the guy reached out and said, can you do my website? And then you went and figured it out.
Yeah.
Has that pretty much mirrored itself over and over from your career? Like where somebody asks you to do something and you're like, let's commit and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah, especially in the early stages, August 2018, we started this thing, and even me, I didn't know anything about business. I really don't know anything now. I just called Bradley and said, "Hey, man, what do I need to do about this?" But
you need to call me.
I'm learning about the business thing. So as far as the way that it's going with the branding and the marketing, I really took my time to understand that part of it. I wanted to know that the marketing stuff I get, I understand. I understand that whole animal. And then the other stuff kind of progressed to that. We started out with just me. And then it's like, I think I need to hire somebody else. I think that's the model. So we just hire somebody else. I don't really know how I'm going to pay them, but we're going to do it, So now we have 16 members.
That's awesome.
And man, it's just kind of figuring that part stuff out.
This is from something that was a side hustle for you to this is all you're doing, right?
Yeah, a baby will make you do that.
Yeah.
A baby will make you, hey, I got to do something.
That's right.
So, it did it, man. Now we got another baby that'll be here when we're recording this in a couple of weeks. So.
You got a couple of weeks, really?
Yeah. December 28th is when he'll be here.
That's awesome.
Unless he comes earlier. So.
Yeah. We'll keep you guys posted on that for sure. Well,
another legend is born.
Congratulations on the business and the baby. That's Thanks, awesome. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to tell the audience if they want to reach out to you and check on some products, whether they're a church or a business, or somebody needing a logo?
Yeah, just reach out to us, MrChurchMarketer.com. You can find me. I'm Rock Davis without the K, ROC, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Mr. Church Marketer's everywhere too. So we'd love to work with you and help you out, see what we can do to help.
It's like the coolest name ever, Rock.
Yeah, it is. It's not my birth name.
It's a lot cooler than Bradley. It's not your birth name?
No, it's not.
What's your birth name?
My birth name's Kyle.
Kyle, okay.
Yeah.
That's a cool name too.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother story.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, guys, that's this week's episode of Centers of Influence. We will see you guys next week. Really appreciate you watching.